Abyss Aggro leans on the overstated nature of Abysscraft early game followers, even if they hurt you back a little. Keep boards clean with some of the best removal in the game, and if you do see the late game, outvalue your opponents with great flexible options. Alright, so with this first game, we're actually going to kick it off against Runecraft, and I'm not going to lie guys, it is a struggle to actually get there with Abysscraft very often, because the cards just don't always get there, but nevertheless, really slow hand, we're going to get rid of those. Even though Mummy is an early play, you'd rather save him for when you have the opportunity to be able to go and play him out with Storm. So instead, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. Now, we have a few options. I do really like being able to go ahead and use the extra play point to play out this 2-drop right over here. Yeah, it hurts you and it feels really bad if your opponent gets rid of it right away, but Barrel is actually not a terrible play if you can like sustain her on board, because like, yeah, we dealt 3 to ourselves, but we dealt 3 to the opponent, so it kind of balances out in terms of just like the race that we're going for here. And now they're only able to get rid of 1 of the barrels, which is fine with us. We can go ahead and chip 3. I do like Little Miss because she leaves behind stuff. So anytime that you have units, a sword has a unit like that too, that when they go away, they leave behind a unit, can be very annoying for the opponent, especially if you're playing an aggressive deck or a deck that cares a little bit more about your opponent's life than, you know, trying to get to the late game. So here we are in a pretty good position. I like to Evo to be able to just get value and get more damage here, especially with getting our opponent down below 10 is pretty useful. And then we're just kind of dumping our board. At 5, our opponent's a little bit limited. They can play Gray and Anne, which they do here, but they're still going to have to work towards removing it. And then we have Agave to do the follow-up, plus we have Rage of the Serpents, which will allow us to be able to do a little bit more chip damage afterwards if necessary. So kind of a balancing act here and there, but now, dude, Mistress of the Fanged is like our best draw here, because now we have a big Stormer that we're just going to be able to close out the game with. So lots of value there. So opponent, if they can't deal with it, not in a great position. They have another Grain and they can try. They can trade with the ward, and then obviously the Grain and can clean up here. But we've got Super Evo, and we've got a 3/6 Storm in hand ready to go. So if this is the only thing our opponent does, which it looks like it is, looks like that's just going to be a quick Super Evo for game here. So the deck can go quick. It goes fast. I'm telling you guys, this is an S tier deck if you're just trying to do your challenges or your guild matches, because it will get there, but it's not always that easy. I need your help. Chris's channel is 2 days younger than ours, and yet he's beating us by like 1,000 subscribers. So help me not fall too far behind and click the subscribe button. Thanks. Going into game 2, we actually have a mirror match. So there's actually a couple of ways you can play Abysscraft. You can play the way that we're going, which is just aggro and just hope you can get there. And then naturally there's a late game one, which you're leaning on like Cerberuses and other cards like that. So we decided to keep this hand. Honestly, could have probably gotten rid of the Lesser Mummy here, but that's fine. I think one of the biggest things to keep in mind is just like how fast we can get on board. Here we're opting to just go double 1-drops to be able to then play the 2-drop and kind of hope that we can draw our way out of that. So for what it's worth, the deck can see some level of success. I think I've been on like 5 or 6 win streaks before with it, so it is possible. Although I wouldn't say it is wholly consistent in being able to do so. That was just a really hot streak for the deck. We're going to go ahead and play the double bats here. Might as well get our shadows up. And we do get the Apollo out. So we're going to have to go ahead and deal with that. We're going to go ahead and play the Balto. So now for 4 turns. Effectively, even if he gets rid of it, which we're fine with this, it's 4 damage. So to pay 3 to get 4 damage that's like non-interactable is really nice. And then here we just have Yuna. Going to be able to provide us more bodies. It's a 3/5 ward. The ward actually is relevant every now and then. But they do get the enhanced Mino. I hate Mino. I think it's still worth running a pair of Mino as like just removal, but I am just such not a fan of the card. Here we're going to go ahead and play out the barrel. We're going to play the mummy, and we're just going to play out a ghost to play out and respect the skeleton, just because they could have their own Reaper's Death Sight, and I kind of want them to work a little bit harder. No. Our Agave it is. We're not in a great position. We have the worst board. We are currently behind on life totals. So we're going to have to claw our way back here. We're going to go ahead and Evo here. Going to be able to clean that up. And we do still have our ward on board, which is nice. So a little protection there. And the Medusa. The Medusa is really, really solid, especially since we have to get rid of her. But we do have the Reaper, so at least there's that as well. Here we can go ahead and go into Olivia, play out the Little Miss, and instead we can just Super Evo to get rid of it. So applies pressure. It's annoying bodies for our opponent to have to deal with. We heal a little bit, so now that disparity is kind of more in our position. And I do decide to get the little chip damage in before being able to close. We have the Cerez if need to. We can Super Evo if we need the life total. And this is where the late game can really hurt when they're getting into Cerberus. For those who don't know, if you don't play 1-drops in your deck and you're just mindful of that, when you play Cerberus, you can actually choose whether you want to get rid of Coco or Mimi. And that allows you to be able to reanimate the one that you want when you Super Evo. But this is a super tough position. Obviously, we're going to have to deal with the Cerberus. We need the heals, so we might as well get the Cerez out. Super Evo the Cerez. We lose our Super Evo, which is tough. But Cerez protects herself in the sense of having barrier now at the end of the turn. We're going to be able to heal by 4. So it's that stabilization that we just need. And we do still have a regular Evo in our back pocket if need be. So here's a Death Sight. That's a shame. That is going to be us gone there. And they do Chaos Cyclone and reanimate. So they do get themselves the Warder back. It is cool that you can actually deck build in a way that's like really strategic with the way that you want to be able to select what you'd like to go into in terms of your Evos. In terms of your reanimations. Here we got the Memorial because it just represents 2 bursty storm damage whenever we need it. And then now we're in a position where we're just trying to trade resources. The opponent's up on Evos, which is very scary. But thankfully here they go and use one on something that's not super high impact in my opinion. Or potentially just kind of hold it there. But they're going wide now. And now we're in a position where we need to do a little cleanup duty. But we do still have Rage of the Serpents. And with enough of those, damage to the face, it looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and Mino here. Again, not my favorite card, but we're just going to get some damage on board, do some cleanup. And then we're just going to go ahead and use the Death Side, get rid of the barrel here. Now, the next couple turns, we have a couple options. We can go Mistress into Rage of Serpents, Here, we're going to go ahead and use those Rage of Serpents, or at least one of them to face, because we have the play points to be able to just kind of use it without too much stress the next turn. But we want our opponent to not think too much about what we've got here. So that 2 is huge, because now we have the 6 plus the Rage of the Serpents. So now we can just go ahead and deal the 6, deal the 3 there. And then if we needed to, then we also had the Ghosts to be able to do the little bit of our work. So I guess technically the 2 didn't matter, but it mattered. We didn't have to do as much work as we initially had needed to. As far as the deck goes, it's really just mostly the most valuable bodies we can have that you want to be aggressive with. So we've got 1-drops. Like I said, if we weren't trying to be an aggressive deck, you would probably drop the Lilith here because she does get in the way of you being able to be as optimal as possible with Cerberus without kind of rolling the dice on RNG. But outside of that, of course, we've got the Death Sights, we've got the Mummies because you're going to take whatever storm you can get. We're on 3 Minos. If I was to reiterate the deck, I'd probably just go down to 2 probably and just kind of get some value from some other 2-drops like maybe a Cherub or something. Barrels, obviously, because it's a 2-cost 3/3, even though it hurts us. And I'm telling you, when they tempo remove this thing, it feels so bad. 3 Rage of the Serpents, because face is the place. Miss Bone Mancer, because, of course, getting rid of her means she still sticks around with a couple of bodies, which can be really annoying. Shadowverse Memorials at 2. You could technically have it at 3 because it's always storm damage to the face. It's just this more aggro-oriented part of the deck really wants to be able to present more body stuff. 1 Balto, just because the 3/1 stat line is really bad and like you sneeze on him and he dies, but just getting that 1 crest is not getting the crest for 4 turns, pretty decent. You can go up to 2. I don't think that's terrible. I like Cerez a lot. I understand she's not immediately super aggressive, but it's something that can be reanimated with the Ghost Juggler, which I think is a phenomenal play. It's something that you can Super Evo with the Olivia that you really want to, because not only is she just straight removed for anything, she's heals, she's sticky to deal with because she gains that barrier. So I like the 2 Cerez personally, and you got the 2 Yunas alternatively to kind of have a 3/5 that wards you, protects you a little bit, provides you additional bodies. Into the late game, we have 2 Mistress of the Fanged. We're in an aggro deck. You could probably go to 3. Goblin Foray has like a game or 2 for me where the opponent just didn't have anything to do afterwards. But the more I've played with it, the more mediocre it is. I think you could get rid of it in a iterated build. I would probably modify this, get rid of it, change up, like get another Mistress of the Fang, and probably substitute this for like a Cherub or something to kind of play into this lower the ground style thing that we're going for. Garve is just really great. He's a 4/3 that board wipes for like no additional cost. And if we need to, he's in burst 3 damage to the opponent's face. Ghost Juggler, like I was saying, can go ahead and reanimate both Yuna and Cerez. Olivia has some good synergy with just the fact that we can always get Stormers out. So the fact that she can heal us, draw us a couple of cards, and then we can kind of dump an extra 3 stats onto anything that's hitting our opponent's face. Huge, especially if we can go like 7, Olivia, 2, play out the Lesser Mummy. Now we're swinging for 5. We got that value. And then the pair of Cerberus to be able to do some Mimi and Coco shenanigans to be able to heal in this pinch, but also particularly go ahead and deal just uninteractable damage against our opponent. So In general, that's where the deck is at. If I were to make modifications, I already mentioned what the few cards I would get rid of would be, and I would just lean into maybe even a few neutral cards that play a little bit nicer in that early game to just give us a little bit more cards to be able to pump out. If you guys want to play the deck, here's the QR code. Like I said, I have gone on win streaks with the deck. It's not an amazing deck, but it can get there if you put enough effort into it. I think if you're going to commit to Abyss, I do think a end game go big Abyss is probably the way to do it. But if you want to be aggressive, if you want to just play a bunch of games over in the park and be able to get those out of the way really quickly, and you're not just gonna self KO yourself, I think this is also a deck that can definitely get there. Even though you can get some success with Abysscraft, I think the class is severely needing of a bit more help. Even if the kind of like mid-ranger slow go big build is has a bit more tools to it to be successful, I think it's just missing a pinch. But if you need an aggro deck to be able to just jam games quickly, this is definitely the one. That's it. I'll catch you guys on the next one.